Okay. Hi everyone. In the last session, we discussed about SQL Server stored procedures. Stored procedure is a set of precompiled SQL statements which will get executed when we call it. Is it clear? And whatever if you want to store the queries, if you write any query, every time you have to compile the query and execute the query manually. But stored procedure set of precompiled SQL statements. Precompiled means which is already compiled. It will compile only once. So today we'll see exception handling in stored procedure. So what is an exception? Generally, exception is a runtime error. Whenever an exception will occur, what is the problem when an exception will occur? Whenever an exception will occur, abnormal termination of program will be done. For example, if you try to write 10 lines of code, suddenly an exception will occur at line number 5. For example, if I written some 10 lines of code, suddenly an exception will occur at line number 5. So whenever an exception will occur, the remaining lines of code will not execute. Abnormal termination of program. So it is the responsibility of the developer to handle what these exceptions. For that, in SQL, at the time of creating stored procedure, we need to take the support of this exception handling mechanism. Is it clear? So we already know how to work with stored procedure. Is it clear? So what is the syntax to create a procedure? Create procedure. Let us see one small example so that you'll understand. What is an exception? Exception is a runtime error. Generally, errors are common. At the time of developing the application, different types of errors will occur. Is it clear? Any other mistake that was done by that the error will occur. There are two types of errors will be there: compile time errors and runtime errors. Compile time error means the error that will occur at the time of compilation of the program. These errors will occur because of the wrong syntax that was written by the developer. At the time of writing the queries or procedures, the errors will occur. These type of errors are called as compile time errors. Runtime error means the error that will occur at the time of execution of the procedure or execution of the program. Mostly these runtime errors will occur because of the wrong input given by the end user or the invalid input given by the end user. These type of errors will occur, runtime errors. So what is an exception means? Exception is a runtime error. For example, I will try to create one procedure. Create procedure. Procedure name P1. I will pass two parameters. @ A data type is int. @ B data type is int. Here I will write as begin end block. Now here I will try to declare one variable. Inside this begin block, I will try to declare one variable. Declare @ C. Data type is int. Set the value. Set @ C is equal to @ A by @ B. And here I'll try to print @ C. This is my procedure actually. And this procedure is taking two inputs and it will give the result. Division, quotient will come. So create the procedure, select, execute. And then here I'll try to call the procedure. You can call the procedure by using exec command. Procedure will get executed when we call it. Here I'll try to create the procedure and I'll try to call the procedure. Yes, and how to call the procedure? Exec space procedure name. P1 space pass the value 6, 3. So I am giving the input 6. 6 is stored in A, 3 is stored in B. 6 by 3. 2 will come. Quotient will come. By will always gives us quotient. Okay, but now this procedure will get executed. Then we call it at the time of executing the procedure, we are passing the input values. In the second scenario, if I give A is 6 and B is 0, now if I try to execute, now here an exception will occur. Divide by 0, exception will occur. Divide by 0, an error encountered. Because any number divisible by 0 will give you infinity. Any number divisible by 0 will give you what? Infinity. But there is no infinity is not defined. Infinity is not implemented actually in programming languages or in SQL. There is no meaning for infinity. Is it clear, everyone? So that is the reason whenever an exception will occur, what is the problem is abnormal termination of program. For example, you see, you go to ATM, you have written some 10 lines of code, you have written. Is it clear? You have written some 10 lines of code. Some code means these 10 lines of code you write inside the procedure only. Let us assume I have written some 10 lines of code. Okay, na? But here at line number 5, let us assume 1, 2, some lot of lines of code I have written. Is it clear? Something like this. I have written some code here. But at line number 5, if any exception will occur, at line number 5, if any exception will occur, what will happen? If any exception will occur, then the remaining lines of code will not execute. So what will happen? When the user will keep the debit card in the ATM machine, first the machine will scan the card, and then it will check the account number is valid or not. And then it will check the CVV number, check the expiry date and all the things. And it will send the money outside. It will go to database and check the amount as insufficient funds and everything. Lot of operations we have to do. And line number 9, we will write some code that send the debit card outside. Generally, if you keep the debit card in the ATM machine, the card will go inside, and after performing the operations, card will come outside. So line number 2, scan the card. Line number 3, something like check the CVV number validity, check the expiry date validity, like this. We'll try to write line by line. At line number 9, send the card outside. Okay, na? And at line number 8, send money from ATM machine. Some code we have written, but at line number 3, if any exception will occur, the remaining lines of code will not execute. But what is the problem? My card is inside the machine now. Card will not come outside. Errors are quite common. Errors will come because of different reasons. If the server is busy, also errors will come. Sometimes if you go to banks every Monday, you can go to ICICI Bank or Axis Bank, they will tell server is busy, server is busy. Server is busy means 2 servers will be there. Your application will be in one server, your database will be in another server. Your database server may be busy or your web server may be busy. So what is the problem when server is busy? So whenever server is busy, what will happen means the remaining lines of code will not execute. The remaining lines of code will not execute. So my card is not coming outside. So whenever an exception will occur, directly displaying that error messages to the end user, it is not the good style of programming, because end user customer is God. He don't know .NET or he don't know SQL or he don't know Java. Directly displaying the database error messages or programming languages error messages to the end user, he cannot understand. Divide by 0, uncounted, or input string was not in a correct format. These messages are very technical messages, cannot understand by end user. End user can always display user-friendly messages to the end user. Server is busy, try after some time. ATM is temporarily out of service, insufficient funds. These are the friendly messages. So it is the responsibility of the database developer at the time of creating the procedure to handle this type of exceptions. Did you understand, everyone? So in order to handle this exception, you have one mechanism called try-catch implementation. So here you have to write this try, begin, try. Write the logic inside the try. Where your exception is coming, C is equal to A by B now. So you can write here and try. Similarly, here you can write begin, catch. Okay, now here you can keep this total. Okay, and try. Before end try, you keep this line. And here you can write, and after end try, begin catch. And here you can write end catch. Is it clear? And here you can print the message. Print B must not be 0, must not be 0, or denominator must not be 0. So whatever the statements you are writing, keep the statements inside try block. So whenever an exception will occur, control will directly jump to catch block and display the error message that you displayed within the catch block. So in ATM application, what to do? Send the card outside. That type of logics will write inside the catch block. So even exception will occur, whatever the code that you want to execute, even if exception occurs also, that type of code you write inside, outside catch block, print, I will execute, even exception occurs. In other programming languages, you have finally block. Here you have outside the catch block, whatever the code you write, that will consider as finally block. So this is my procedure. I have created the procedure. Now this total logic I kept inside my try block. Only try is not valid. Only catch not valid. Try with catch valid. Try multiple catch valid. Okay, so here whenever an exception will occur, what will happen? Control will jump. Now here one exception will occur. If I give the input 6 and 0, so this line will not execute. Now here an exception will occur. Now control will directly jump to which block? Catch block. Control will directly jump to what? Catch block. Whenever an exception will occur. Are you following? So printing this message. And the code that was written outside the catch block also will what? Execute. Is it clear? Even if exception occurs also. Let us see here. So if you want to modify the procedure, instead of create, use alter. Because my procedure is already created now. I will write alter. Alteration means modification. So press F5. Now command completed successfully. Now I'll try to execute the procedure. Press F5. Now instead of a predefined technical error message, you will get the user-friendly message. B must not be 0, and I will execute even if exception occur. So what is an exception? Means exception is a runtime error. So what is the problem whenever an exception will occur? Whenever an exception will occur, abnormal termination of program. Program will not terminate properly. Program execution will not done line by line. At line number 5, if any exception will occur, the remaining lines of code will not execute. This is how you can handle exception handling within the stored procedure. In some scenarios, you can see generally what we will do. This, did you understand everyone about this exception? Yes or no? Exception is a runtime error. Whenever an exception will occur, then directly the error message, exception error message was displayed to the end user. But the end user is a technical person. He cannot understand the error messages. So it is responsibility of the programmer to handle the exceptions. Responsibility of the programmer to handle what? These exceptions. Okay. Now here what to do, you know? Now, in some scenarios, what happened, you see, if I try to create one process, now we'll discuss about TCL commands, very, very powerful commands in SQL. TCL commands, and again, we'll come back to stored procedures again. Okay. TCL commands means transaction, control language commands, transaction control language commands. Are you following? Transaction control language commands. Control language commands. Transaction control language commands. TCL commands. Now we'll discuss about TCL commands. 3 types of TCL commands are there. One is commit. Other one is rollback. Another one is save point. There are 3 types of commands are there. Commit, rollback, and what? Save point. These 3 types of commands comes under what? TCL commands, transaction control language commands. So first of all, you must know what is a transaction. Is it clear? You must know what is transaction. Transaction is a portion of work that has been done. Transaction is a portion of work. Transaction is a portion of work that has been done. Is it clear? That is a piece of work. Where you heard this word transaction many times when you go to banks or anything, there you will hear this word transaction. 3 types of transaction commands are there: commit, rollback, and what? Save point. These 3 comes under TCL commands. So what is a commit? Commit is used to save the changes permanently. Save the changes permanently. What is rollback? Rollback is used to undo the changes. Control Z, undo the changes. Commit is used to save the changes permanently. Rollback is used to undo the changes. Save point. Save point is used to save the portion of transactions. Portion of transactions. Generally, if you observe clearly, let us assume that here I have one database. In the database, I have one table with name EMP with columns E number, E name, and salary. Here I have some columns with names E number, and here E name, and here what? Salary. Here I have 101. Here I'll give Anil. Here I'll give 20,000. Here I'll give 102. Here I'll give Sunil. Here I'll give 30,000. Here I'll give 103. Here I'll give Ajay. Here I'll give 40,000. So this is my database table. In table, my data is stored. Generally, when you come to database point of view, there are two types of database are there. One is permanent database. Other one is buffer database. Buffer database is temporary database. This is permanent database. Is it clear? Here also you have your table name is EMP. Here you have some columns are there. Like here you have E number and E name and salary. 101 and here Anil, here 20,000. And here 102, here Sunil, and here 30,000. This is your buffer database. That is permanent database. 103 Ajay and 40,000. Is it clear? This is your buffer database. That is your original database. So generally, whenever you write any SQL query, what will happen? Whenever you try to execute any SQL query, the query will be applied on buffer database. The query will be applied on buffer database. For example, if I try to write this query, delete from EMP where E number is equal to 103. Now, whenever you try to execute this query, this 103 record is deleted from buffer database. And then that record is deleted temporarily, not permanently. Record is still the same like a recycle bin. It will be saved no? In the normal system. If you delete, normal delete, shift delete. So whenever you try to write any SQL query, the query will be executed on buffer database. So the record is deleted from buffer database. Is it clear? Once the record is deleted from buffer database, but still the record is stored in the original database. If you want to again undo the changes, again if you want to get back the deleted record, you have to use rollback. So what is the use of rollback? Means rollback is used to undo the changes. Commit is used to save the changes permanently. If you want to save the changes permanently, you have to use what? Commit. If you want to undo the changes, you have to use what? Rollback. Rollback is used to undo the changes. Commit is used to save the changes permanently. Did you understand, everyone? So again, if you want to get the deleted record, you have to use rollback. For example, after delete the record, if I write commit, what will happen means, what this commit will do, commit will save the changes permanently. And once the record is deleted from employee buffer database, it will update to permanent database. Means record is permanently deleted from permanent database. 103 record is deleted from permanent database. Was it clear? Again, if you roll back, it will not work. Let us see this one practically, how to work with this TCL commands, commit as well as rollback. Are you following, everyone? Let us assume here I have one table with name EMP with columns E number, E name, and salary. 3 columns are there. So right click on EMP, edit top 200 rows. Edit top 200 rows. Commit is used to save the changes permanently. Buffer database means temporary database. Temporarily, the data will be RAM actually. Database is hard disk. Permanently data will store. So here you see, for example, if I try to write one query, select star from EMP. Then I press F5. This is my data. 107 records are there. If I try to create one transaction, how to create a transaction? Declare. This is the syntax. Transaction name. Now here you write the query. Delete from EMP where E number is equal to 107. I'll try to create one transaction. This is one transaction. So 107 record is incorrect syntax. declare transaction, transaction name. What happened? What is the syntax? Any error? Yeah. Declare transaction, and here you can write begin, and here you have to write end. Yes. Begin and end. Declare transaction, transaction, and begin and end. Press execute. What happened here? Sorry. No need of declare. Begin transaction. Sorry. Here you have to write begin. Totally. Begin transaction, transaction. That's it. No need of end. That's it. So select the query, press F5. Now one row is affected. Here you can write the select query. Select star from EMP. Select star from EMP. You can see 107 record is deleted. You cannot see here, but actually it was deleted from buffer database. Okay, now if you want to again get back the deleted record, again you can write begin transaction T1, and here you can write rollback. Rollback is used to undo the changes. So again deleted record will come. You see here, select start from EMP again. Okay, now again deleted record will come. This is about rollback. But always when you work with transaction commands, what to do? You have to keep inside the begin transaction. That query, whatever the SQL queries you want, right? Keep inside the begin transaction. Begin transaction, transaction name, write the SQL query. Rollback is used to undo the changes. Now commit is used to save the changes. First begin transaction, again delete from EMP where E number is equal to 101, commit. Select the code, press F5. Now one row is affected. 107 record deleted. Yes. Now again what to do? Rollback. It will not work because commit is used to save the changes permanently. Whatever the record that is deleted from buffer database, it will automatically update it to original database. Same like CD. Is it clear? Commit will save the changes permanently. Rollback is used to undo the changes. So definitely interviewer will ask you, can you explain about TCL commands? You can explain. Okay, TCL commands means commit, rollback as well as save point. 3 commands are there. Commit, rollback as well as save point. Commit is used to what to do? Save the changes permanently. Rollback is used to undo the changes. Rollback is used to what all of you? Undo the changes. Commit is used to save the changes permanently. If you want to undo the changes, you have to use what? Rollback. Did you understand everyone? Now save point is used. What is the difference between commit and save point? Both looks like similar. Small difference is there. Save point transaction can roll back. Commit transaction cannot what? Roll back. Let us see here. Here what I want to do here is delete. For update also it will work. Any query, DML commands you can apply on commit and rollback. Yeah, mandatory. Writing begin transaction is mandatory. Okay, shall I continue? Thank you. So here what I want to do, I will try to write something like begin transaction T1, and here I will try to write one query, delete from EMP where E number is equal to 107. This is one transaction 1. And here I will write save transaction T1. Is it clear? And here I will write begin transaction T2, delete from EMP where E number is equal to 106. Save transaction T2. Begin transaction T3. 105 I will try to delete. Save transaction T3. Now let us assume here. First I'll execute the first one. Execute. 0 rows affected. Because 107 is permanently deleted, I think. Previously we deleted, no? So it is not showing. I will change 106, 105 and 104. Okay, now? something like this. Now, first of all, execute this begin transaction. Execute. And again, here you can write begin transaction T2, execute. And again, here you can write begin transaction T3, execute, something like this. Are you following? So here I will try to write something like select star from EMP, execute. Now 3 records are deleted, 104, 105 and 106. So if you want to roll back, you can roll back. How to roll back? Here you can write begin tran some T1 and here you can write roll back T3 means 104 will come. Here you see roll back T3, increment T3, roll back T3. Roll back means last transaction will roll back actually. So 104 record will come. 104 came, here you see. 105, 106 also came, yes. So roll back, what it will do, it will roll back the next. If I write roll back T1, begin transaction T1, then the next transactions will be rollback. Rollback is used to, save point is used to roll back the portion of transactions. Commit is used to roll back all the transactions, but save point is used to roll back the portion of transactions. Generally in banking applications from this time to that time, for example, some database transactions are cancelled. If you want to immediately roll back the transaction, you can use save point. Is it clear? That is how you can work with commit, rollback and save point. Now you can ask me, sir, in real time, if definitely when you go to interview, they will ask you this type of questions. So what you have to answer? So when do you have you used stored procedures in your real time like that? You can tell actually. For example, I'm creating a procedure. Create procedure name P1. Some here you can write as begin and here write and here you can write some SQL statements. Is it clear? And generally at the time of writing the procedure, for example, you're doing some online transaction, otherwise you're booking the train tickets in IRCTC. If you want to book the train tickets in IRCTC, what to do? First operation is what? Search the tickets. Search the availability of the tickets. Search the availability of tickets. For that we have to write one query. And then what to do? Deduct the money from customer account. Deduct the money from customer account. You have to write one query. Next, credit the money in merchant account. Credit the money in merchant account. For that you have to write one more query. Update query. For example, if the IRCTC account is there now, IRCTC account having some money like 50,000 is there. Now I purchased one ticket. I booked one ticket in IRCTC. So my ticket cost is 1,000 rupees. So 1,000 rupees must deduct from my account and 1,000 rupees must credit in IRCTC account. Okay, na? So you have tried to update queries. One is to deduct from my account. One is to credit to IRCTC account. And then something like step number 4, I will try to deduct the ticket also. Deduct the ticket from IRCTC database. Update the quantity. Update the capacity. Okay, na? Update the capacity. For example, there are 100 tickets are there. If 2 tickets I booked, that ticket now available tickets must be how many? 98. That query also must return. Is it clear? Update the capacity. And then confirm the ticket. Confirm ticket. Something like that. So these all operation, this entire operation is called as one transaction. Is it clear? First, the customer want to book the ticket, search the availability of the tickets. Deduct the money from customer account. Credit the money in merchant account. Update the capacity. Confirm the ticket. These all are different. For one operation, you have tried one query. These all set of transactions. These all queries you can call as one transaction. Is it clear? Transaction is a portion of work that has been done. Some set of SQL queries we have to when we perform any transactions. 5 queries must execute. Now what the point I'm telling? If all the queries are executed successfully, then only what to do? Commit. If all the queries are executed successfully, then only commit. If either of the query is not executed successfully, then what to do? Roll back. For example, what to do? Step number 2, up to step number 2, the queries are executed successfully. 2 queries are executed successfully. But what happened? After executing these 2 queries, at line number, after executing 2 queries, an error was occurred. Is it clear? So money is not, money was deducted from customer account, but money is not created in merchant account. Generally, this problem you will see when you go to any shopping malls also. You will tell, I got a message from my bank, money was deducted. But the bank person, that shop merchant will tell that money is not created in my account. He will tell merchant. Did you understand? Merchant will tell money is not created in my account. Something like that. So these all are the problems that will occur. But merchant will tell no problem. Again, money will come. Is it clear? Just wait for 5 hours or 2 hours. Then definitely again money will what? Come. Is it clear? So if any exception will occur at line number what? 2, the remaining lines of code will not what? Execute. Is it clear? So if after executing successfully the second query, what is the problem? The next queries will not execute. So money will not get in merchant account. So again what to do? Roll back. Roll back means cancel the execution of previous 2 queries. So again money will come to whose account? Customer account. This is very important task in the companies. So generally what to do? Here you have to write some transaction. That is generally in SQL you have some ACID principles are there. A represents atomicity, C represents consistency, I represents isolation, D represents durability. The first principle, atomicity principle, is telling that either all the transactions are successful or no transaction is successful. I have written 5 queries, no? These all 5 queries belongs to one transaction. At the time of executing one transaction, all the queries that are available in the transaction must execute successfully. Then only commit. If either of the transaction is not executed successfully, if any exception will occur, then what to do? Roll back. Roll back is used to undo the changes. This is query 1. This is query 2. This is query 3. This is query 4. This is query 5. But now after query 5, what to do? Before this as begin, you can write what? Begin try. And here you can write end try. Okay, na? End try, here you can write. And here after this you can write begin catch. And here you can write end catch, something like this. So after, before end try, what to do? Commit. And in catch block, what to do? Roll back. So at the time of executing these 5 queries, at line number 3, if any exception will occur, now control jump to catch block, roll back. So undo the changes. If all the queries are executed successfully, then what to do? Commit. Save the changes permanently. So commit is used to save the changes permanently. Commit cannot be roll back. Save point can be roll back. That is the only difference. Commit we cannot roll back. Once committed, cannot roll back. Once save point, we can roll back. That is the difference. That's it. Did you understand, everyone? So executing all these queries. If all the queries are executed successfully, then transaction is success. Now commit. If either of the query is not executed successfully, then roll back. This is a beautiful example you can explain to the interviewer when he asks about stored procedures, or when he asked about TCL commands, you can tell him. Sir, at the time of creating the procedures, what is the challenging procedure you have written in your project, you can tell. So at the time of creating the procedure, I used some transactions. In the transaction, I have used write some multiple SQL statements. If all the SQL statements are executed successfully, then transaction is success. If either of the transaction is SQL query is not executed, then transaction failed. So commit is used to save the changes permanently. Rollback is used to undo the changes. Did you understand? Are you following, everyone? That way you have to explain in the interviewer. Transaction is a portion of work that has been done. Atomicity means what? Either all the transactions are success or no transaction is success. Consistency means what? Generally, atomicity consistency means generally if any invalid transaction is done, the operation will not stop in the middle. Multiple catch blocks, if you write where error will come, that block will execute. What type of error will occur? That type of block only will get what executed. Acid rule, yes. The acid rule means that's what I'm telling. A represents atomicity. Atomicity means that's what I'm telling now. Acid property I already told about A. A represents atomicity. All the transactions are executed successfully, or no transaction must execute. C represents consistency. Generally, whenever you perform any transaction, in middle of the transaction, if any exception will occur, what will happen? The transaction must not stop in the middle actually. For example, you're deducting the tickets from the IRCTC, and 100 tickets are there. You booked 2 tickets. So 2 tickets are deducted from IRCTC account. Only 98 tickets are left, and money is deducted from customer account. Now again what to do? Now if the transaction is not executed successfully, then the changes that was done previously for the databases must not reflect. So ACID property ensures database consistency. It means whatever happens in the middle of the transaction, this property will never leave your database in a half completed state. If the transaction completed successfully, then it will apply the changes to all the databases. If any error will occur at the time of execution of the transaction, then all the changes that are already made with rolled back automatically, it means the database will restore to its state. Is it clear? In middle, before commit only some transactions, yes. Is it clear? In middle, if you any modifications are done, see, actually ACID principles means what? Principles we have to follow. At the time of designing the database, we need to follow the principles. Is it clear? Solid principles. Solid principles means single responsibility principle, open closed principle, Lisco substitution principle, interface aggregation principle, dependency inversion principle. Generally, programming language developers, framework developers, at the time of developing the what? Frameworks, they have to apply the principles of OOPS efficiently at the time of developing the application. That is solid principles. ACID principles means database developers must follow. Did you understand these principles? This is about consistency. I represents isolation. And it means if every transaction is individual, means you must not create the relation between one transaction and another transaction. If multiple transactions are existing, if one transaction result is depending on another transaction, if one transaction will fail, other transaction also will fail. That is the problem. What is a transaction? Set of SQL statements we have to keep in one transaction. So if one transaction is depending on another transaction, so if one transaction will fail, it will affect the other transaction also. That is the reason what isolation is telling. All the transactions must work independently. Every transaction is individual. One transaction result must not depend on other transaction. That is about isolation. Durability. Durability means once the transaction completed, then the changes it has made to the database will be permanent, even if there is a system failure. It will maintain the committed data. If a transaction is completed, then the changes it has made to the database will be permanent. Whatever, because whatever the transactions that are committed, that transactions will be maintained. Sir, who must follow all these things means developers. At the time of designing the database, The SQL DBA developers, the high-level developers, they will follow these ACID principles and design the database in a proper manner. Atomicity, consistency, isolation, durability. These are the 4 ACID principles. Okay, na? Just interviewer will ask you what are ACID principles means, you can tell the full form. That is more than enough. Okay. So with this, we completed stored procedures in SQL Server. Okay, na? So tomorrow we'll start triggers, very powerful topics, triggers, cursors. Okay, maximum this weekend we'll complete. By Saturday, mostly we'll try to plan to Saturday or Friday, we'll plan to complete our SQL Server. All of you try to follow the videos seriously, more than enough to clear the interviews. Because whatever I'm teaching, maximum syllabus I covered, CTE, subqueries. Is it clear? Stored procedures, functions we'll again discuss. Functions and this one is also there, stored procedure. That is also important interview questions. Exceptions in SP. Try to explain that one to the interviewer. You can try. I think I already covered all these things. You can try one project if you want. Okay, I already explained one project in. If you want any project, you can open YouTube, Travel Biz by Kannababu. There I explain one beautiful project. First 4 videos you watch. Those 4 videos are belongs to SQL Server only. Okay. Thank you. Tomorrow we'll continue. Have a nice day. Bye.